All right. Welcome back, everybody. Shark Nation, episode 11 here today. With Jason and I, we've got Alexsis Mcghee with us here. How are you doing today, Alexis?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah,
So
no,
pumped to have you.
this is
All
going
we
to be a
hear
good one.
is Alexis is the queen. She's a rock star. So we love
Cool.
rock stars.
Good stuff. So, as the description says, let's address what's there, right? You sold over 60 homes, 61, I think, in your first year in real estate. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, we did.
That's unreal. That's unreal. There's so much to probably discuss because that's a lot that you probably have so much going through your head selling 60 houses. So um, I know for me personally, so I did that my second year, and that's where I was just like, I need a team because I can't figure out which way is up. So talk to me about what that was like at the start versus like what it's like a year later.
Yeah, at the start, it was hectic, and a year later, it's hectic, right? Like it's just different. It doesn't really change. I just think like the way you manage it changes, and the support you have around you changes. But if you just want to talk about the feeling is the same. Um,
Right.
It's a big benchmark to put on yourself, and putting that out there to the world. I realize, like,
Nope. We're getting
that's a
some.
high to maintain.
He said it,
So,
it cut out just a little bit.
uh,
You said it was hard to maintain, or what was that?
yeah, that's going to be a high standard to maintain. I realize, like, put that out there about
Nope.
myself that this is a benchmark that I've kind of made for the first year. So obviously, you want to keep that growing. So, I think when I started a year ago, it was kind of just like hit the ground running. And now we're trying to run a little more efficiently and scale and make sure that we don't burn out, turn around and do, half of that or less than that. And anyway, we want to do more than that. And I want to share the wealth. So that's kind of just like the different mindset between what it looks like last year and what it looks like at, January 2024.
Gotcha. So it's cutting out a little bit, but I think your connection's starting to roll together here. So what I had pieced together though was it's now about kind of sharing the wealth. Was that what I was getting? Talk to me about
Definitely
that. What's
sharing
that
the
look like?
well, getting a team in place, having support under me. My husband just got licensed. He saw how much I did a lot of referral business simply because at 15 deals pending, I don't have wherewithal for more. So I started linking up with people and sharing and saying, hey, can you work this with me 50-50, 25%, whatever we can do. And that was so helpful to have people to lean on, to have a schedule that was more than just my own. And he saw me giving business away essentially and said, if I got a license, can you give it to me? And I said, yeah, we can. He
Domestic
turned around and got
partnership.
exactly. So, so he turned around and got licensed. And so sharing that wealth, and my background is in teaching. So, once I learn how to do something, I love to teach it. And I still quite, sometimes some days I don't know what I'm doing, but I know how I got here and I know what I've been doing to, maintain like referral clients and build a sphere. So to turn around and be able to teach people.
This is good stuff. We're getting a little bit of a rough connection. I think you froze on us. It was good in the pre-show. I think now we actually lost her.
Yeah, it was sounding really like I didn't know if it was my connection down here because I'm off the beaten path,
Oh,
so I wasn't sure it was me. Wait,
yeah, she's now it's yeah, yeah.
back.
You're
Back?
back. Yep. Yeah, your connection
I
was
don't know
real
what.
spotty. We were getting pieces of it. Let's see how you are now.
How about now?
It seems more
Perfect.
stable.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's circle back then. So obviously we talked about 60 deals your first year. What were you doing before real estate? How'd you decide, hey, I even wanted to get into real estate? And, how'd that journey go?
Yeah. I'm not from here. I'm from San Diego, California. Everyone's first question is, are you mentally ill? Why do you live in Scranton, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
But
Like,
my
wow,
husband is from here.
beautiful tropicals.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm born and raised there. I've never left. Um, but my husband is from here. We have 2 little kids. We met out there, and essentially we had to be across the country from one of our families. So we decided to do it where we didn't feel so not wealthy, right? So we moved across the country. I moved here sight unseen. I got a job, a real high, like a high up job for running a STEM program for 4 elementary schools in a prominent district in the area. Um, and that was super exciting. But the culture shock was more than I anticipated. And I quit like a month later. And I was really depressed here. We moved here in August or September. They lost everything that I owned in a moving accident. So quite
Oh,
literally, I was across the country in a place I didn't know. I had nothing, literally, and I had just quit my job that I had just moved here for with like goods, for good stability.
wow.
Um, yeah, so that takes us to like December of 2021 and January 2022, right? Yeah, January 2022, a random girlfriend of mine from California who is a realtor sent me a women's investing course. It was a 7-day course. It was $15. And I thought, I'm at home and sad. I'll watch this, right? So
Sitting on the couch.
I've got nothing to do.
Uh-huh.
I'll just do that. So I sat on that on a Monday in January, and the first thing they talked about was wholesaling and how you can start as an investor with wholesaling, and you can essentially flip a piece of paper and get thousands of dollars. And I said, I could do that. That sounds easy. I understand the concept. And so I got into a Facebook group that night, and I made a post of a property, and I said, I've got this property, who's a buyer for it, 3-bed, 1-bath, whatever the case was. And I went to sleep and I woke up and there were 40 comments on that post of buyers. And I thought, oh, I better go find a house to give these people. And so that just essentially snowballed into a wholesaling career. And I wholesaled almost that entire year. And I did about 40 wholesale deals,
Wow.
which then I put a really big target on my back. And I had a couple of brokerages really not happy with me. And I was super transparent about everything. Everybody knew what I was doing. I wasn't trying to be anything that I wasn't.
Right.
Everybody liked me because I was above board. I kept it 100%. And I did a lot of business. And Mike Urban, who's a part of EXP, he's got a presence here. He said, you should get a license. And I said, sure, I guess, no problem. And I went online. I did some classes in a month, and I took the tests, and I failed the state, and I passed the national, and I took the state again the next day, and I had a license. That's
Nice.
December 2023.
Wow.
So I used all of my contacts from investors, and I said, now I can help you on the market. I can put this in front of a ton more people than I could before. It was a little bit of a learning curve, wholesaling to actually having a license, but the principles still applied. My business work ethic, my communication skills, my systems, all of that still worked. So it took us a little bit to just kind of understand all the paperwork behind the licensing, but that was really strong for me because wholesaling was scratching the surface, and getting a license, like I really got to dig down and to see all of how this works, like legally on the back end, all the different creative ways that you can do it. And I just learned so much really quickly. And I was able to provide my clients with a much better service because essentially I knew more, right? So I hit the ground running, and I answered my phone as often as possible. Way more. Everyone says, how did you do it? I answered my phone
That's a
way
big
more
one.
often than anybody else, I think.
Yeah, I
That's a
mean,
big
a
one.
bunch of stuff is good to unpack there. Number one, I mean, like you said, cost of living from San Diego to Scranton, it's like for 200 grand in San Diego, you can't even get like a shack out in the backyard. Like for 200 grand in like Scranton, you could get like a mansion pretty much. You know what I mean? It's like night and day. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, I love the hustle, right? You know, you built up from scratch and, you know, you just problem solving all along the way, right? It was like, okay, I watched this course and now, okay, I have all these buyers. Now I got to get the house. So I got to figure out this problem. And then I want to hear how you found that first house. Like, how'd that all go? Like, you know, the whole wholesaling process. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, it is really crazy. I simply leveraged Facebook as much as humanly possible. So the same group that I said, "Hey, I've got a house. Who wants to buy it?" I went to start looking at who was selling houses. And the quick YouTube guru version of wholesaling is like find a house for sale by owner on Facebook, put it under contract, and sell it for a little bit more, right?
Uh-huh.
It's absolutely 100% not that simple, not even in the slightest version. But I found a guy who owned some properties, and he was trying to wholesale them. Um, but he had the capital to actually purchase if he couldn't. So the first property that I found, he let me kind of work under his wing, if you will. I did the showings, I advertised it, I did some of the negotiation, but I wasn't involved in the paperwork process. I just kind of watched him do it,
Mhm.
and he paid me like $500, I think, once we got that under contract. It didn't go to anybody that I showed the house to. He found the person. He did it all himself. And I watched one, and that took 1 month from January, like end of January to beginning of March. It took one. The very first one that I did was actually against what all of wholesaling feels like and against what I would advise. I went and found one that was sitting on the market for a really long time. I talked to the agent and I said, I think I could get this, put in front of some buyers if you would let me. And the agent said, no, I won't let you do that. But if you could bring me someone who is interested, maybe we could work something out. And I sent it out to my buyers and I said, does anybody have interest? I went and saw it for them. I took some pictures for them, and I ran some numbers and I got some bids, and I kind of did all the legwork for them. And they ended up closing on that property. They used that realtor, so he got both sides of the commission. And then they simply just paid me like a referral fee for finding that property and doing all the legwork for them. After I got that first check, I turned around and I used 50% of it to get some marketing for myself. I said, okay, I've watched this happen twice. I see where I could do it. I got a little bit of money now, and we're going to blast our sign. We're going to buy a couple of lists, and we're going to start cold calling. Cold calling was 100% the way that I started. I sat and I made 150 calls a day, and it probably took me a week and a half before I actually got on the phone with somebody. And then it probably took me 3 weeks after that to have a property under contract.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
signing of the first contract was wild. It was terrifying. And I thought, okay, another problem, right? Like it's a great problem, but I have a property under contract. I've signed my name on something that says I'm going to buy this in 30 days or find someone to buy it in 30 days. And now I actually have to produce that. So that was a little bit scary, but we did it.
I
Okay.
think I'm in awe of the 150 calls a day. As a team leader, I'm just like, how do I get like 10 of you?
Well, yeah, no, that's good, I think, because okay, so making 150 calls, I like where you said you didn't really talk to anybody for a week and a half, and what was the 3-week mark was where it got real.
We had really talked to somebody. I went and saw them, and honestly, I think I got a little bit lucky. They had already spoken with the wholesaler. They knew kind of the process. They just liked me better. I was a little bit more upfront about it, and so they signed with me. But the 3-week mark is when we had our first deal under contract from cold calling.
What makes you push through, I mean, a lot of agents, they do that one day and they're done. What makes you push through a week and a half and then 3 weeks? I mean, yeah, what keeps you going to do that?
I think the biggest driver for me at that time was a it's not a goal, it was I had given myself this much time to make it work. You
Mm,
know, I it was either figure out how to generate enough income to just to survive off of this, make this a job, or find a job. You have my husband and I sat down together and we said, look, you know, I just quit. This is how much I was making. That income is now gone, and we have nothing. We had to put out a lot of our savings to just like buy basic. I like we literally had a 4-bedroom house with 2 kids and not one. We had 1 suitcase each when we got here, and we had no stuff. So, you
wow.
know, the savings we had was like immediately used, which means it put a lot of pressure on me to keep my teaching job. But I was just so mentally and emotionally just kind of done at that point. He said, "Come home." After a month of wallowing, I thought I got to make something work. And when I got that first little bit of money, it just showed that you can do this, you can
Mm,
make money in this. So I said,
mhm,
all right, here's your time chunk. You got 6, it was February at that time. You got until July to make it happen, or you got to go back and say, yeah, I'll come back to the classroom in August, you know? So sure, were there a lot of no's on the phone for 3.5 weeks? 100%. But I had seen it. I'm watching other people do it. You get in some groups, you can see people are cashing checks on this consistently all the time. There's money to be made there. We just need to figure it out. I have a hard rule personally. You need to do something for a month to know if it really works. You need to do something for a month. You can't do it for a week or 2 weeks. You need to do it for a month consistently the same way before you have any kind of information.
yep.
So, you know, for me, 150 calls a day was like, we got to do this for at least 30 days before we find out if this is right, wrong, or indifferent. And I think I proved it to myself in 3.5 weeks. Like, yeah, you're doing it right. This is it. There's something here. I don't know what it is yet, but there's something.
100%. Oh my gosh. I mean, Jason and I can't tell you enough how much we try to teach people that simple concept of you know you've got to commit to something, and you've got to give it enough time to see that if it's really working or not. You know, it sounds so simple, but I mean, you know, even though you understand that and you committed, it is hard when you're, I'm sure, right, like a week and a half, 3 weeks. Like where did you have? I mean, it's simple. You commit, you set the plan. Did you have the day or two where you're like, "God, I just don't want to do this today, you know, the 150 calls." Like, what's that look like?
Yes. And honestly, every day. Right? You sit down at the computer and you like hype yourself up in the shower, and you know, also you have to remember you've gone from having to be somewhere at 7 a.m. every, you know, Monday through Friday to um you wake up and you start your day when you want to start your day. Very quickly, 150 calls between 6 and 8 is rough. Like,
Yeah.
no dinner's made, my family's crying for me, my kids aren't bathed, you know, it just was like, it was a lot. And so just like structuring a schedule in the first place, first thing. Once I structured a schedule, right, then you know, I have my like morning hype up and I get myself going, I get everybody out the door, and then I sit down where it's quiet and try to do my work. The sit down, you know, for a while I had no objections because I'm calling between 10 and 1 and everyone's at work and no one answers. So then I'm
Ah.
just leaving all these voicemails or I'm texting and there's nothing coming back. And I'm like, you know, no response is almost worse than a no. Like, at least I'm making a connection
Is this
and
thing
like
on?
someone's talking to me. Right. You know, so
Right.
that was like a tough thing to like just try to sort out, when will I be able to talk to people? And then, you know, the learning curve, like when I do get on the phone, what do I say? And then feeling like, did I blow it? Like, I talked to someone and that was a 30-second conversation and they kind of just were like irritated that I even got to them. So like, just I think the only thing that kind of kept me going through like the I don't want to do this is like there were many challenges every day to try to like, okay, we can pivot away from that, or I'll try something new. Like trying to realize that like I have this plan in place, but I'm making small tweaks every single day. So it might feel different. Like this today might be a little different because, you know, I'm calling at a different hour, or I got a 570 phone number like instead of
Right.
my 619 area code. Like maybe people will answer me today, so just like trying to keep that little bit of hope alive in my small tweaks and changes really was probably the only thing that was like, no, we can keep doing this. We can keep trying something new.
That's
That's
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is really good stuff. I like this because this is what it is. Like this is, and it's not just even, to be honest, it's not just real estate. Actually, this is just principles kind of life, but in
Perseverance.
entrepreneurism and commitment and integrity. You said you did what you said you're going to do, but you look at that, and I think what's important, what you said is about how you didn't want to, but you did, and you tweaked it every day because you were committing to mastering one thing. You weren't, you have, it's almost like you have squirrel mode within your niche. Like your niche in that instance is calling, but and you can have squirrel mode to try new things, but within that niche. Where a lot of people fail is, they'll try that strategy for a week and then another strategy and then another strategy, and they never master any of them, and then they think this doesn't work and they quit. um so that I love this. This is great stuff. But it starts to kind of work at 3 weeks. You said there's a little bit of luck involved. It's funny how luck comes to people who are doing the work, but um,
Yeah. It's
it
it's magic, right?
it is, huh? So it starts to work, but like, does your activities, that the 150 calls, does that drop off? How does that look? Once it starts to work.
Yes. And I think that squirrel mode within your niche is so real and also needs to be managed because the excitement of a success from your work could set you off on a whole new five other, now you're going in 10 more new directions, right? And you just kind of like mastered your your little bit of success right here, and then you're like, oh, I did it, now what? And you kind of go off into like 10 more tries of, now you're trying to master two areas, because prior to this, under contract negotiation, I mean, even before that, right? Just getting people on the phone and them saying yes, there was a whole nother set of mastering. What do we talk about? How do I make this person on the phone convert into anything? Right.
Yeah.
So then once you do that and you have a deal and you have something like that gets you to the next step, because like you said, this could be relatable way outside of real estate, but once you get something, you've done what you set out to do. I want to have a deal that I can take to the next level. Now you're at the next level and you're looking around like, which door do I go through,
Yeah.
So yeah, the
100%.
calls drop off a little because we started on a whole new path of now what, right? i
Right.
gotta i gotta get this out of my name and into somebody else's and find that little sweet spot where I can make some money. And that was a little bit of a learning curve as well. I think anyone in real estate knows a wholesaler deal gets a little bit more scrutinized than any other deal because you assume they don't have a ton of knowledge. And I didn't, right? And I was just honest about that. I said, here's something, here's what I think. What do you think? And instead of trying to push something on other people, I really kind of went for feedback for people who are doing this a lot longer than I am. Let me know, what does this look like? If this isn't what you're looking for, let me go back and see if I can make it work, or let me find something that does.
Right.
And when I came to large investors, I didn't know who I was talking to. I but I think they knew who they were talking to before I even knew me. And they saw somebody who was willing to do the work that they didn't want to do. And I basically got trained by some of these really big investors without even realizing it. They were telling me, actually, here's where your numbers are wrong. Here's where they need to be right. If you can make that work, I'll buy it from you. No big deal. No problem. Those words, I was like, oh, cheat sheet.
Right.
That's great, right? Like
Yeah.
someone just said, sure, if you go find this, I'll pay you. No problem. So then I went back and had to go find it. And all I had to do, that took negotiation, that took different work on my 150 phone calls, that took, where we were calling, who we were calling, what we were looking for. That all changed, right? After getting this feedback from people who were really buyers in the market. And so, everything drops off, but then it ramps right back up. right? Like that squirrel part of my niche was just activated again. It just keeps getting reinvigorated with every little bit of knowledge I'm kind of just like, latching onto.
Yeah, I think the best part about this, and I don't want to like skim over it, was you trial and error, right? Wasn't working, so tweak it a little bit, but don't not commit to the mission, right? So, what times did you find were ideal for cold calling? Maybe that'd be helpful for agents. And then, I think like how you touched on, hey, I didn't know, but I found somebody who did. They taught me because I was willing to learn, and then I went out there and I executed. I mean, that's so huge.
Yeah. Cold calling times are afternoon, always. Afternoon, early weekend mornings, best results, no matter what. Um, like I call them medium holiday. It's like a holiday that a lot of people get off. It's not like National Pancake Day where, you have to be following a silly Facebook page to know it's a day. Like a medium holiday, like people get those days off, but they're not Christmas or Thanksgiving. Like they're not sitting with their family and like putting their phone away. Medium holidays, all day long, people would answer 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. People would answer. I think those are people's off times to explore things they don't have time to explore Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We are really a blue collar area. People work all day and they're exhausted from work, and then they get home with their kids just like I do. Now, can you catch them, or hey, can I pass the phone to my husband, or hey, can you actually call, I'm off tomorrow, can you call me then? But first connections almost always like 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturdays all day long, Sundays hit or miss. Those medium holidays, if you're willing to work when everyone else is taking a rest, I I can almost promise you will make connections. I don't know if they'll turn into deals, but you will talk. That's the time people are willing to answer their phone. 100%.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So where did you see getting your real estate license? Did the same principles apply? What did you do there? Like what was the difference, on the startup and wholesaling versus the startup in real estate?
Yes, is the short answer. You know, the same principles apply.
Same principles apply.
The,
And
I think the thing that I was not prepared for was the red tape that protects everybody. Wholesaling is like wild, wild west. Like, you're running, you're wheeling and dealing is what I would call it. I'm just out here doing stuff that's in a gray area, right?
for
And
sure. Yeah.
the nature of that business is gray, which leaves you open to a lot of risk. And when you step over to a license, you're held to a certain standard, right? You're held to certain laws. And while some people may find that intimidating, I found it really reassuring. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, I don't have to go call my lawyer every single time I'm writing up a piece of paper or changing a line. There's just like something written for me, like, hey, here's what you do. Like, there's somebody I can call and say, hey, is this okay? Yes or no? There's no gray. Yes or no. It either is or it isn't. So was that a massive learning curve? 100%. However, it was something that I was able to rest into that allowed me to work even better because I didn't have to tiptoe. Like I could stomp. I know I know I'm in the right. I know I'm good.
And so now your 60 deals, is that a lot? What percentage is investor base versus like a regular, residential sale?
It's 72%, almost exactly.
70
72% investor.
investor.
She knows her numbers for sure.
I ran them. I ran them because I wanted to know. I wanted to know like what am I doing? And this is something that I didn't do. I really just did it last week. Like I'm always learning. And I didn't actually even have a nice, neat place where all of my deals were. And I watched I was watching some influencer and they had a free watch the class and you got a free, whatever, right? And in that little free resource guide was like a beautiful deal spreadsheet that showed like you just plugged everything in and put some tags and it spit out beautiful numbers for you. I was like, oh, this is incredible. So, you know, big ups to them. That's the only reason I know those numbers, but I thought, wow, that's important to know because If I ran those numbers and it was the other way around, that's not my niche. I'm way outside of my niche. Now I'm with, first time home buyers or something. But I was very true to my sphere because I'm not from here. So my sphere was built around investors.
Okay.
And that's where my repeat business comes from, because essentially investors are repeat clients, not 10 years later, like not when their grandkids are ready. They're repeat investors in 3 months after they've put all the work into the fallen down house that you found them.
You
Yep.
know your ideal client, you're focused on your target. I mean, it's wow, wow. I mean, you're executing the principles across the board, not just, oh, I'm doing the work, like no, knowing your numbers. Ah, man, this is good stuff. This is it right here. Go ahead, Jason. I saw you
I'd say let's unpack this, because
had.
a lot of agents, and everybody likes working with, Joe and Susie, first time home buyer, it makes you feel good and all that. But I tell like the team, I'm like, you need to get yourself some investors, right? They're not as emotional as first time home buyers. They it's numbers driven business, right? If the numbers work, they're buying and selling regardless of market conditions. The interest rates don't scare them, as long as it's a numbers game, right? So as long as the numbers work, they're buying, and they're buying more than once a year. Like Joe and Susie, that's great, right? But they're probably not going to be buying for 4 or 5 years. So you need somebody that's constantly, and like you said, they'll buy something, fix it up, and then flip it. So now you got the buy on, the $30,000 house in Scranton, and then they fix it up and sell it for like 250 or whatever it is, and it's like now you got the sale on that, and then they're constantly looking for more deals. It's like it's the greatest clientele that you could have. I'm a big investor heavy agent too, and it's like the deals are out there all the time, and your phone is constantly ringing for them. It's not, oh, well, we need something in this school district or that school. It's like, Jay, get me money.
Right. That's all they want to hear. They want to know numbers. They want to talk numbers. And they're most often, like the guys we're describing, and women, excuse me, the people we're describing are people who do this all the time. And some of them do other things. They want you, they are happy to pay you to do what they don't want to do. That's all that I found. They are happy to pay you to be scoping, scrubbing, running numbers before you send it to them. Like those are what my people liked about me, is that I have subscriptions like every one of my clients for different things. Duplexes under 180, 4 families under 250. Like I have those on mine, so they get sent to my email too. I'm seeing it at the same time that they're seeing it. Often I get a call and I say, I was just looking at this for you. What do you think? Here's the problem I saw. They tell me about the utilities. What's split? What's not? Tell me about, are they month to month? Yearly leases? What do we like? When I go and I am just like constantly consuming that information for them, when I can rapid fire, they can call me and say, hey, did you see those 2 new ones? I say, yeah, here's my problem with this one. Here's why I think this one is good. I've already gotten 3 calls about it. What do you think? That's what they like. They don't want to do that. They don't want 1,000 emails from Zillow. They want me. They want one text from me with 5 properties that might work that are new this week. That's what they want. And if you provide it, like you said, they'll call you a million times. They're
Mhm.
I feel my experience has been my investors are probably twice as loyal as my first time home buyers, because there was no emotion except efficiency. They were like, yes, you make me money. They're investing in me. I spend a little bit of money. This generates me a lot more. And I know the number. I'm running the numbers from, I know how much they're making. And I know how much I'm making. And it's okay, because they're going to do that. They've got the capital and the resources to do that 3 or 4 times a year. And if you take what I make on the one, or like you said, maybe the 3, 4, 5, maybe both sides, if I've got buyers ready, it shakes out to be worth it for me. And it's definitely worth it for them.
I love it.
So what do you tell, maybe there's a new agent out there that doesn't know the numbers and doesn't feel comfortable, with the investing side of it. What advice do you have for them to kind of, where do they need to start? Where could they go? What kind of resources could they look at to kind of, you know, like you said, you learned it all and you kind of learned on the fly, and then you got mentors that taught you exactly what you're looking for. We're somewhere for somebody new that it's like, I'm pretty much, first time home buyer heavy. How do I get some investors? How do I get comfortable in that niche? What advice would you give to them?
I think I'm going to say the cliche, which is like YouTube University, with a caveat that there is so much free information. It's really overwhelming. And I won't say every because I don't like absolutes, but so much of that free information is breadcrumbed to buying a course or a ebook or a mentorship. And those things you can buy range from $7, $9, $14 to $10,000 for a year-long mentorship that is like they're promising you the stars and the moon. And I think the best advice that I have is to just go with your gut and go with your strengths. I was a teacher. I know how to find credible information and read up on it and then go check the .gov websites that back it up. You are working in an industry where a lot of this stuff that is governed by laws. So whatever a lot of what people say, you can just go Google, is that legal? Is that real? Is that true? You know, can you buy a house and live in it for 2 years and then turn around and use it as an investment property and go get another FHA home with only 3? Like, is that legal? Can you do that? That's a quick Google search to see, what are the rules around that. I think so play to your strengths. If it is hard for you to filter through credible information, then yeah, maybe seek out a mentor that you pay a little bit of money. It's an investment in yourself for them to teach you. Also, I believe, and Jason, you're an investor. I feel like people that do this and are passionate about it will give you the info for free. They would love to teach someone. And probably when I teach people, it's with the hopes that you stick around and you do it for me and you help me. Right. So I'm going to get a little bit of free help. I get a little bit of like couple of months where I have an assistant because they just want to know what I know. And I'll tell you if you can like go on a couple of showings or drive an hour to like the house with no steps that I don't want to see, but I need pictures of it. If you want to go do that for me, we could sit down, have a couple of meetings, and I'll show you how to run some numbers. That's how I did it. Anyone who had time for me, I met with them for free. And then the things that I couldn't find for free or I was really confused about, I went ahead and I paid a little bit of money here or there for some mentorships or some training to help me kind of, really understand the bigger pictures like financing or some of those caveats. Construction, that's like a big one people get hung up on, is how do I bid? Go talk to our roofer. You may have to pay them for their time, but take them with you to go see the house and have them point out what they're looking at.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think,
so much. Yeah.
yeah, so much good stuff there. I was a big fan of, and still am, of Bigger Pockets. They have a lot of free resources for, if anybody's just looking to learn about investing in real estate, or, they have all kinds of financial calculators if you want to kind of learn the numbers. I think they have a wholesale calculator, fix and flip calculator, buy and hold calculators. They have everything there. So definitely a good resource if you want to check in more into that. But like I said, you're a teacher, right? And then when you're practicing it and then you teach it, you learn it more yourself too. So it's like, okay, and then now you feel more comfortable. So I do the same thing that you do on that. Wow, we're really hitting it hard with at the 40-minute mark, but I definitely want to keep on talking about your journey. I mean, we're partnering up with Chrissy and some other folks. We're going to be, running an investor meetup locally in Scranton. Do you want to unveil for the audience what we're going to be doing together?
Yeah, we are starting a branch of the Cash Flow Breakfast Club. It is a big thing on Bigger Pockets, and I'm still even learning about it and diving into it, and we're really excited to just bring a really action-taking group to the area for people who are looking to invest in the next 12 months. If you have zero experience, but you would like to get into investing in some way, and you're serious about it, like soon, like this year, you would like to jump in and be an investor, it's not that far off. It's very attainable. You just need some resources and some guidance, and Cashflow Breakfast Club is there to provide it. I'm really excited about it. I wish it was here when I had started, because I went to all the meetups. All of the meetups were like high school lunch for me. It was very like, I don't know any. I'm a female. I am a minority female. I sound different than everybody that lives here. I don't know the slang because my slang is very surfer SoCal, and I'm very confident, and I felt nervous. I was so intimidated by everyone there. And at this point, I had been doing deals. I knew some of these people, and I still just kind of felt like I don't know which table to sit at. I'm a wholesaler. I'm not wanted. It was really weird. So I'm excited to bring a meetup group that's less of a cocktail hour and more of like an action take home. What are you gonna do this month to get yourself to the goals that you want to get to? So yeah, Cashflow
Yeah.
Breakfast Club. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So for anybody that's listening now, basically we're going to meet once a month. We're still working out the details of that. We're going to be starting in March, but you're going to have homework assignments, right? It's not for the dabblers, right? It's for the action takers. So every month we're going to teach on a different topic. People are going to have homework assignments. If you're not taking action during the year-long thing, you could get kicked out of it. It's not for people that want to kind of just sit and watch on the sidelines, but you're going to get all the info. You're going to have all the support you need, or like training out the, and it's going to be amazing. So if you're looking to invest in real estate, in our area or wherever, I mean, we're going to have all the resources together, and, I'm going to be doing some of the trainings. Alexis is going to be doing some, each one of the group every month we're going to be crushing it. So, if that's interesting to you, definitely reach out to one of us, and we could tell you a little bit more about it, but we'll be announcing stuff as we get going on it too, for sure.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. So where's the vision? Where are you going next, Alexis?
The vision is becoming these people that I learned from. My goal is to build a portfolio that allows me to teach real estate and to do real estate at my leisure, how I would like to, when I would like to. And I'm ready to grind for the next, 5 to 7 years, but there is an exit plan and there is an exit strategy that's still being tweaked and worked on. A big piece of it is going to the Cashflow Breakfast Club. I was involved in a couple of flips last year with some other investors, but nothing had my name on it. So, while I have done some investments, for me, I'm still counting it as zero. I want to have properties with my name on them. When you look them up on the deed recorder, it's me. So that's the plan and that's the goal, and to turn that around and provide generational wealth for my kids, and to really start to break away from the 9 to 5 or the 24-hour day that I currently have now as my own business owner. But the plan is to grow and scale, provide for other people and for my family as best I can.
I would bet on you. Uh,
Oh,
you you
sky's the
have the
limit for Alexis, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the principles, you've got the focus, you're clear. It's something that's yeah, it's a breath of fresh air from what I hear from a lot of it doesn't even matter if it's just relative to real estate. It's just in life, you see people that say things but don't often do them. A lot of them are just full of shit. And I've of course, even myself, I've been full of shit at times in my life. But I've the world has smacked me back, and I realized that was a mistake, and you get back on track, and what you all the stuff you're saying is that's what got me to the good things in my life. So it's just so refreshing to hear those principles that are, I mean, you're just rocking them.
Thank you.
So yeah, I would bet some big dollars on you if it was legal in the casino. Uh, that's good. It's good. And
Let's
I
wrap
think
it
one
up
other
with
thing I
this.
wanted to,
Go ahead.
what's that, Jason? Sorry.
No, go ahead. I had one more question for her, but go ahead.
Good. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring up a point, and then we'll go into your question. I think what you said about too, the information is out there, and it is free. A lot of it is breadcrumbs to more. I think like it's like a fine balance you have to have. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago with Matt Durbin, or like early in the podcast. But it's like you have to absorb some of it, pay here and there, and when you're paying, I think you'll get a shortcut to it. Um, and accountability a little bit with it. It's sometimes the same information, but you're getting it more condensed, quicker, more one-on-one, and maybe some catching your blind spots because we don't know what we don't know. So, not all the time, but sometimes it's worth doing that. But you can go too far. You can just become obsessed with this person will do this for me. And I think, when you get out of owning your actions, that those things don't work. So like it's a fine balance you have to walk. I don't think there's a perfect way to say how to do that stuff, but I like what you said about all the information's out there. Be a student of it, grab it, pay a little bit with your gut feeling, like you said, where you need to. I mean, you summarized it good, but it's important. It's out there if you seek it.
Right.
So yeah, Jason, what was your question? I just wanted to note that.
No, no, that's great. I was gonna say before we wrap up, I mean, I think she's being a little modest. I mean, she's a business owner, right? We didn't even touch on that. Um, New partnerships. You want to kind of just say some of the other side hustles?
Yeah, I am also venturing into the title sector of business with Jason. He's kind of showing me. I'm honestly, it feels a little like I'm just riding coattails. I feel like he's kind of spearheaded and put this all together and dropped an offer on our plate. And I said, yeah, why not? That sounds good to me. I also own a daycare. I opened a daycare that I am in the process. No one knows this, but I'm in the process of actually getting it acquired by someone else. I opened it for the community and it's running beautifully. I just would like to step away from it, and they're going to scale that and take it where they want it to go. But yeah, I think diversifying is a beautiful part of what we get to do when you do real estate, and you can't be so focused on maybe what that you're not willing to look at trying something new and maybe failing or saying, that was awesome and I did that, but it's not the best thing for me. That's what I did with the daycare. I have a gift for starting things, and I know that. I've started businesses since I was 15 and exited several of them. So I'm doing that again. I didn't think that I would. I kind of thought I would grow it to be a massive thing. But I'm realizing right now my time in real estate is really kind of just taking off, and I need to be able to, do what I do inside of one business and not get all squirrely and scatterbrained just because it's available to me. So I'm excited about title. I'm excited about the title company though, and being able to learn more about that process. I really just know the basics to get my clients through, but excited to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And like you said, starting and stopping businesses, there's so much that you learn. And then when you do sell, use that money to invest in real estate, right?
That's where it all comes back to, baby.
It does. It's the circle of real estate life for sure. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I was another, agent and I had to go up against you, I think I would be shaking in my boots. I mean, you are a killer. You are going to be, like you said. I always tell the team members, it's like, you're competing against 1,800 agents out there just with EXP. What's
Right.
separating yourself from those agents? And then, you know, you see a rock star like Alexis. It's like you have to compete against her. Why would somebody go with you over her? It's like, look at all the value that you're providing to your clients. Look at all the work that you put in and you're grinding and hustling to learn everything. So you are that top agent. I'm super, super, super impressed. I mean, awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you guys. If anyone has to compete against me, I'm so friendly. I will be probably the easiest person to work with. That's my favorite compliment from other agents is I love working with you. Whether it's good or bad, I've had deals fall apart and these people still call me. They still look at my bids and they're happy with me. I think this is a personable business. Whether
Yep.
it goes right or wrong, you just have to be like, people have to like you. And if they
Yep.
don't, like, work on that, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and like
I
you
always
said
say it's like,
earlier,
oh,
answer your phone. That's a big one.
for sure. And it's like co-opetition, right? We're all competing, but it's also like, it's a small niche of agents that actually do a lot of the business. So you're going to be
Right.
working with the same people over and over again. Be nice. People want to
So,
work with people that are not friendly and, easy to work with. You don't want to make their lives, impossible. Then they're not going to want to work with you. So I also, I teach heavy on that. But I mean, I think the show was amazing. I definitely appreciate and respect your time. Chad, any last words?
Anybody listening to this, whether now or coming up, want to replay something, go back and listen to the beginning again and again and again, that first half of our show, because those qualities that were there are they're what makes success. I just really, I can't stress enough how much I see the embodiment of those principles in you. Like that's why I've said I would take my money and bet on something. That's always my like indicator to people, like when we're doing deals or whatever with a buyer or seller. I'm always like, well, I'd bet on this solution, or like, so I'm putting my money there. So for what that's worth, go back, revisit, and listen to those principles, and truly ask yourself, do you commit for a month? Do you commit for 6 months? Do you taper off? Do you tweak? Do you try to master one thing and not try to, spray into, five others at once? Are you okay letting go of maybe even successful business so you can narrow your focus in on something? There's so many nuggets there that we, in a way, already know them, but they need to be heard multiple times. We need to be reminded of them. It's the simple things that move the needle. And I think that's why you're super successful, because you're committed to those things. So revisit that.
thank
um,
you guys.
and I really, really appreciate the time. Yeah, we respect your time. We're thankful to have you on here. Super valuable for us. I hope we can bring some value to you and being around you.
Already have. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting to know both of you more. Thank you again for having me. This is my first kind of public speaking around my real estate business. So I'm feeling good about it. Thank you. You guys definitely pumped me up.
You crushed it just like everything else. Amazing. So, yep, I will see you on the call tomorrow for our Cash Flow Breakfast Club. And yeah, we'll get the ball rolling and we'll start announcing some of those big things soon. So, have a great day. Appreciate your time.
You
All
too,
right.
guys. Talk
Thank you.
soon.
I'll see you.